Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for a virtual back to school night. My name is Kirsten Rogers. I am the 7th grade U.S. history teacher in the Wardlaw Hartridge Middle School, and I'm so excited to be back to school with your students, whether they're joining us on campus or they're working from home. I want to start a little bit with myself. Let me introduce myself a little bit. As I said, my name is Kirsten Rogers. This is my 8th year teaching at Wardlaw Hartridge. I began here in 2013 as a 6th grade humanities teacher, teaching 6th grade English and history. This is my 2nd year as a 7th and 8th grade American history teacher. In addition, I'm also our 7th grade coordinator, so I do spend a lot of time with your 7th graders, both in the history classroom and in the advisory program, working with their advisors. Additionally, I teach student government and publications in our electives program. And I also spent 6 years as both a middle school and a varsity cheerleading coach, something that I plan to go back to in a year or two when my own daughter is old enough to be at WH with us. Before I was here, I did work in a public school teaching history as well. And before that, I got my degrees at Drew University up in Madison, New Jersey, a bachelor's in anthropology and a master of arts in teaching and history education in 2012. But that's enough about me, just a little bit, not too much. I'd rather focus instead on our fantastic 7th grade history class. 7th grade history is our first year of American history in the middle school history curriculum. We begin to study our own history, the history of the United States. We start as far back in our history as we can with the indigenous peoples of this continent, 30,000 years ago with the migration of people to the New World. We then switch our focus to a more traditional American history focus, looking at the exploration of the world, the colonization of the Americas, and the formation of an independent America. That unit includes a major study of American government, civics, and our role in our government. So that's an interesting unit where we work cross-timeliness, I guess would be a good way to put it, across times and places, looking at how our government was founded, what our founders intended, and how we live it today. Once we have a good grounding there, we continue to look at the growth of the young America, looking at westward expansion, the Louisiana Purchase, pushing out westward with the gold rush, exploring how our country becomes as large as it is, and before wrapping up the year with one of the most significant conflicts in American history, a study of the Civil War. And all throughout the year, we use our understanding of American history to make connections, looking at current events, looking at current day issues and the challenges we face, and how our history informs both why those challenges are occurring and what we can do as American citizens to play a role in resolving them. This is an absolutely fantastic course. I love being in the American history classroom. It is something that I am deeply passionate about, understanding the history of our nation and understanding how we fit within the story of America, understanding our role as citizens, what privileges and responsibilities that gives us, and when we need to take a stand. It's something that I find incredibly valuable and that I'm so excited to explore with your students this year. Some highlights that I'd like to share. These are pictures from last year. So they may look a little bit different in terms of social distancing than we might expect this year, but the activities will remain the same. My class is very, very discussion and presentation focused and very much a project-based course. It is my deepest goal for your children that they are able to really internalize their role in our history and that they are able to talk and discuss and argue and share opinions about the ways in which America has grown and where that leaves us today. As you'll see, we'll do lots of presentation-based projects where your students will be teaching and exploring and delving deeply. We'll do a lot of creative projects, such as this project you might see right here, all about the amendments. There will be lots of use of primary source documents and really letting history speak for itself and allowing us to make judgment calls based on what the history actually says. We also traditionally go to Colonial Williamsburg as our major 7th grade trip, and it's a major piece of our curriculum. While we won't be traveling to Williamsburg in November, we will be doing a lot of really great virtual activities through the Colonial Williamsburg Foundation to get a big piece of that program into our classroom. And we will be looking for opportunities in the spring, perhaps, if we are able to do some additional trips and additional things that might broaden that experience. That's generally a highlight of the year, and we will be working as much as we can to replicate it for our students. Your students should expect a challenging but very fun and productive year. You've already seen them working on a creative writing project this past weekend, and we'll be doing lots of that kind of work. My goal is for them to be able to think deeply and express their understandings in a variety of different ways. And to do that, they'll be relying really heavily on our virtual classroom. I'm sure that at this point, many of your children have walked you through what PowerSchool looks like. If they haven't, I encourage you to ask them, because this is going to be their home base for the entire academic year, in my class or in others. I want you to be able to see what it looks like as a result, because it really will be so critically important. When your students navigate to my page on PowerSchool, this is the first page they'll see, a welcome page. And this really has everything they need to make sure that they are on track and on task. There's a link to our Zoom meeting if your student is learning remotely on a regular basis or needs to in the future. They will always find their link there. I've also got a class calendar and a class to-do list, and every assignment will be listed with due days and due times on that calendar for them. They can also submit work by clicking on those assignments. They click on, for example, Chapter 2, Lesson 1, as you can see in this corner, they can submit their work right there. This is our homepage. Students will find it a resource, but won't spend a ton of time on it. Where they'll navigate most often, instead, is to our weekly pages. There'll be a page posted for every week of the school year with dates. This week, we've moved on to Chapter 2, Lesson 1, but I'm going to show you what a complete work week looks like by looking at Chapter 1. Once they click on the week's page, they'll see a page a day for every single day of the week. As with all of our core academic classes, we meet 4 days a week, and so there'll be a page for every single day. Those are not dated because not every 7th grader sees me at the same time or on the same days. When they click on the day's lesson, they will see, when they click on this first weekly page, let me back up. When they click on this first weekly page, they will see our first assignment of the week. And they'll actually see that a little bit early. I will post every week on Thursday material for the next school week. One of the silver linings of all of the changes and additions and tweaks to our academic programming is that this year I've been able to really take advantage of a pet project of mine that I've been trying to implement for a long time, something called the flipped classroom. Flipped classroom learning is a way of giving our students notes and materials to work with on their own time, right? Allowing them to get through content material, to grow a foundation of knowledge on class notes, textbook notes at home, so that this way they have an understanding before they come in, and we can work to refine it together and really jump into good critical discussion and lots of different activities and assignments to help them really broaden their knowledge. Every single week, your children will have a choice of 2 different assignments. They only need to complete 1. The first, of course, is very traditional. You may choose to read the text for that week and take notes on it and share your notes with me. The other option is a video version of our notes. So you can either read it yourself and take notes, or you can watch a video of me giving you the notes. I really like this format, and I think your students will as well. It gives you a lot of time and space to figure out what method works best for you, and it gives us a lot of space for analysis. It gives us more time in class to really dive into that information and to figure out where we're strong and where we maybe need to do some more work. That activity, as I said, goes live the Thursday before any given week, so that students are prepared to tackle the week's worth of learning when they start on Monday. When you click on each day's page, you'll find every single thing that you need for a class lesson. This will be an entire class period's worth of material for your students. Every single piece of a daily lesson will be on this page. Students will always begin on this page. That's true for remote students and in-person students. Every single day, the first thing they should do is log on to the day's page and get started on our Do Now, a non-graded activity designed to just get them in a history frame of mind. Sometimes it will be a discussion, sometimes it will be a note, sometimes it might be an image for them to analyze, but it will always be a non-graded activity designed to really get them ready to roll for the day, review what they did the day before, preview what we might get started with. Our in-class assignment is also always posted to this page. Any materials your student will need, any readings we are doing, videos we might be watching together, activities I'm asking them to undertake, will always be here for them. And their homework will always be on this page. I'm so sorry about that. Bear with me with our slide. The homework will also be on this page. Whatever I would like them to do at home that night and submit to me for a grade will be posted down here. And again, it might come in multiple formats. It could be a Google form. It could be a typed assignment in Google Docs. It could be an Edpuzzle video. Whatever it is will be listed right down here for them to submit. I've tried to really streamline the website for them and for you so that you can help them when they need it. This should be a nice way for them to tackle all of their work every day, whether they're remote and in person. And if they are absent for any reason, it should be really easy for them to ask me what they need and to find exactly what they missed without missing out. I also want them and you to know that you can always reach me via email. I strive to respond to all parent emails within 24 hours. For students, my policy is also 24 hours, but also a little different in that for students, I do expect them to reach out to me by 8 p.m. if they'd like a response that night. My policy is to respond to emails received by 8 p.m. by 8:30. After that, they will wait till the next school day. That said, should you wait to email me? Of course not. You can always send me an email. It's never a bad time. No question is too small, and I will always respond, whether it's in the morning during homeroom for my students or within 24 hours for parents. I am so excited to work with your students this year. I've gotten to know them a little bit, some of them, when they were sixth graders on campus. For our new students, I'm so excited to see the way they've jumped into the grade. I think we're going to have a fantastic year. We are going to make the most of the changes and the opportunities that come with doing some hybrid learning this year. We're going to roll with the punches when we have to, and I think that your students are going to find a real love for American history this year. Thank you so much for taking the time to stop in for virtual back to school night. I hope you have a great night, and I look forward to speaking with some of you soon and working with all of your students this year.